Chosen one, pause for a moment and allow your heart to become still. This message did not find you by accident. You did not arrive here by wandering thought or coincidence. This moment was orchestrated. Before you opened your eyes this morning, before you formed a single word or question in your mind, heaven already knew you would stand here in this exact moment of awareness. There are times when God speaks softly through subtle impressions, and there are times when He steps directly into your path, placing something in front of you that your spirit cannot ignore. This is one of those moments. Something in you has been shifting quietly, steadily, deeply. You have felt it. A pull, a restlessness, a sense that something in your life is aligning and transforming in ways you cannot yet explain. Even without language for it, your spirit recognized the change before your mind understood it. And now, this message comes to confirm what your heart already sensed. The pressure you have felt has not been punishment, and the silence around you has not been abandonment. The weight you have carried has not been empty struggle. Heaven has been watching. Heaven has been guiding. Heaven has been shaping you through every unseen moment. You were not brought here by randomness. You were led here with intentional purpose. This is your divine appointment, and what follows will reveal why. Chosen one, you did not simply believe in God. You became evidence of Him. Your life has been a living demonstration of what it looks like when heaven takes a person by the hand and begins to shape them. Many speak of faith, but few allow themselves to be formed by it. You did. You didn't just call God your Savior. You allowed Him to become your mentor, and heaven took note of every step you chose to take with Him. Your journey has not been easy, and it was never meant to be. Yet what makes your story remarkable is not that you endured difficulty, but how you endured it. You held your integrity when it would have been easier to compromise. You stayed humble when pride would have given you temporary relief. You chose patience when frustration begged to take control. These were not small decisions. These were defining moments. Each time you said yes to what was right instead of what was comfortable, your spirit was being trained, your character was being built, your identity was being revealed. And though the world may not have understood what was shaping inside of you, heaven did. You became a vessel that reflected the one who guided you. The patience in your silence, the peace in your storms, the grace in your disappointments, these were not natural. They were the mark of divine mentorship. You have walked through seasons where it seemed like no one saw your effort, your tears, or your endurance. But God did. He watched the choices no one applauded, the sacrifices no one acknowledged, the inner battles no one knew you fought. And because of that, your testimony now carries weight. Your life is not just a story, it is proof. Proof that when God leads a person, you can see His fingerprints in everything they become. Chosen one, what you need to understand now is this. You have been preaching without ever standing on a stage. Your life itself has spoken. Your endurance has been your message. Your character has been your testimony. While others used words to declare who they were, you allowed your actions to reveal who God has been inside you. You have walked through seasons that would have caused others to collapse. Yet you remained standing, not because you felt strong, but because your spirit refused to let go of the one who held you. There were nights when your heart was breaking and no one knew. There were days when your patience was tested and no one saw. Yet in silence, you kept choosing faith. That is the loudest sermon of all. The world sees strength as noise, dominance, and visibility, but heaven sees strength in quiet obedience, unwavering endurance, and the decision to keep your heart soft even after being wounded. The moments where you stayed kind when life was cruel, the times you forgave when you deserved to be bitter, the seasons you chose hope when despair sat beside you, that is where your life echoed the voice of God. People have watched you, even when you didn't realize it. Some admired it, Some were challenged by it. Some were convicted by it. Because your resilience did not make sense in the natural. Your peace did not align with your circumstances. Your hope did not match your reality. And that is what made your life impossible to ignore. You didn't preach with a microphone. You preached with your endurance. You didn't testify with words. You testified with transformation. Your life became a living demonstration that faith is not just something spoken, it is something lived, felt, proven, and witnessed. You became a sermon without ever needing to speak. Chosen one, there were seasons in your life where everything felt heavy, confusing, and overwhelming. From your perspective, it looked like struggle. It looked like loss. It looked like being pushed beyond what you believed you could bear. But heaven saw something different. Heaven did not see a person being defeated. Heaven saw a warrior being trained. Every challenge you faced was not meant to crush you. It was meant to strengthen who you were becoming. You were being refined, not ruined. The pressure that felt unbearable at times was shaping endurance within you. The silence that felt like abandonment was building your ability to hear God in stillness. The delays that frustrated your heart were teaching you patience, discipline, and emotional maturity. Nothing you walked through was wasted. Heaven watched how you responded when nothing made sense, how you kept showing up when the outcomes were uncertain, how you held on to faith even when results didn't come quickly. These were not moments of defeat, they were moments of divine development. The very places where you felt the most overwhelmed were the places where your spirit was growing the strongest. Others may have seen your battles and thought you were struggling, but heaven celebrated your training, because every trial was shaping you into someone who could carry greater purpose without collapsing under its weight. You were being prepared to handle what you prayed for. And now, what once felt like breaking points reveal themselves as building points. You did not come out of your battles weaker. You came out wiser, deeper, clearer, stronger. Heaven never saw you as someone collapsing under hardship. Heaven saw you becoming someone ready to step into destiny. Chosen one. It is important that you recognize the truth of your own journey. The weight you carried was not the kind of weight most people could bear. It was not simple, not light, not casual. You carried emotional burdens that others never saw. You carried spiritual pressure that others could not understand. You walked with responsibilities, expectations, and invisible battles that would have broken many long before now. And yet, you remained. Not because it was easy, but because something inside you refused to collapse. You have faced moments where your heart felt stretched beyond what seemed humanly possible. You held pain without letting it turn into bitterness. You carried disappointment without allowing it to poison your faith. You endured abandonment without closing your spirit to love. That is not ordinary strength. That is divine endurance. There were nights where you cried silently, because no one knew the depth of what you were carrying. There were days you kept going when everything in you begged for rest. And still, you walked forward, not perfectly, not without struggle, but with a determination that came from something deeper than willpower. Heaven watched those moments. Heaven took note of every tear, every choice, every step that felt heavier than your body should have been able to hold. Not one moment of suffering went unseen. Not one moment of endurance went unnoticed. You need to hear this. What you carried was not easy, and you are not weak for feeling tired. You are remarkable for continuing at all. Most people only celebrate the victory, but heaven celebrates the endurance that came before the victory. You did not simply survive. You carried something sacred, something weighty, something that was shaping your destiny. And now, because you carried what others could not, you are about to step into what others cannot receive. Your strength was not ordinary because your calling is not ordinary. And heaven honors what you endured. Chosen one. Before we continue, it's important that your spirit comes into alignment with what heaven is revealing. When God speaks a word, it requires agreement, not just belief in the mind, but a yes in the spirit. This message is not meant to be listened to passively. It is meant to be received, acknowledged, and confirmed. If what you have heard so far resonates deeply, if something within you has been awakening as the words unfold, then respond. Not for show, not for others, but as a declaration that your spirit recognizes this as truth. Let your agreement be visible. Like this message, subscribe so you remain connected to what heaven continues to reveal. And comment your city and nation, not as information, but as identity. You are part of a remnant rising across the earth, and this is how we recognize one another. You are not alone in this calling. Others are being awakened right now. We stand together. We rise together. Let your agreement be your first step of alignment. Chosen one, what is happening here is not a transaction, and it is not charity. This is covenant alignment. When your spirit connects to a message that carries the breath of God, you are not simply listening, you are participating in what heaven is building on the earth. There are people who watch messages for comfort, and then there are those who recognize when God is forming a movement. You are not here to observe. You are here because your spirit is part of what heaven is establishing. This is bigger than a video, bigger than a channel, bigger than any single voice. This is a gathering of the remnant, those God has prepared in hidden places and is now calling forward. When you engage, when you stand with this word, when you share it, speak it, or allow it to shape you, your presence becomes part of the assignment. You are not an audience member. You are a builder. You are a carrier of kingdom atmosphere. You are a witness of what God is doing in this generation. Your support, whether through your voice, your agreement, your prayer, or your contribution, is not giving to a person. It is joining what God is doing. It is saying, Lord, I recognize your hand here. I recognize your sound here. I choose to walk in unity with what you are forming. Covenant is not measured in money. It is measured in alignment, in shared calling, in standing shoulder to shoulder in the Spirit. So when you interact with this message, know this. You are helping awaken others. You are strengthening the signal of heaven's voice. You are part of a global rising. This is not charity. This is unity. This is purpose. This is kingdom. Chosen one, when God becomes your mentor, everything about your journey begins to change. He does not teach the way the world teaches. The world gives information. God gives transformation. The world focuses on outward achievement. God focuses on the shaping of the heart. The world wants you to perform. God wants you to become. When God is the one guiding your growth, He does not rush you. He does not pressure you to prove yourself. Instead, He begins to work in the hidden places, the unseen spaces, the quiet corners of your soul. He teaches you through experience, through silence, through conviction, through reflection. His lessons are not just learned, they are lived. You began to notice yourself changing in ways you could not explain. Your reactions softened, your patience deepened, your discernment sharpened. Things that once triggered you no longer had power. You started sensing when to speak and when to remain silent. You learned how to walk away without resentment. You learned how to love without needing applause. This is evidence of divine mentorship. God trains His chosen ones, not by increasing their spotlight, but by strengthening their foundation. He teaches you how to stand before He teaches you how to rise. He teaches you how to listen before He teaches you how to speak. He teaches you how to endure before He teaches you how to lead. And while others may not recognize what was happening inside of you, heaven did. The transformation was real, even when it was invisible. God was shaping your character to match the weight of your calling. When God is your mentor, you don't just gain wisdom, you gain depth. You don't just gain confidence, you gain peace. You don't just grow, you evolve. Your life begins to look like something only heaven could have crafted, and this is how others will know who you belong to. Chosen one. The training God placed you in did not look like training. It looked like disappointment, delay, silence, pressure, and unanswered questions. It looked like situations you couldn't explain and seasons that made no sense to the people around you. But heaven was teaching you in a language the world does not understand. This was not punishment, it was preparation. Heaven's classroom rarely comes with instructions written out. Instead, God teaches through the very experiences that stretch your spirit. He teaches patience by placing you in situations where waiting becomes necessary. He teaches trust by allowing you to walk when you cannot see the next step. He teaches strength by allowing pressure to reveal where your foundation lies. Your journal entries, your silent prayers, your late-night thoughts, they were all part of the lesson plan. There were seasons where you felt hidden, where it seemed like God was distant, and your progress was invisible. But in truth, that was the season where He was closest. Not loudly, but deeply. He was shaping the way you interpret life, the way you respond to loss, the way you hold faith, the way you carry your identity. He was not just teaching you how to believe, He was teaching you how to live your belief. Heaven trains differently than the world. The world tests your performance. Heaven tests your heart. The world asks, what can you achieve? Heaven asks, who are you becoming? The world rushes results. Heaven cultivates roots. This is why your growth did not show overnight. It developed slowly, quietly, deeply, like a seed beneath the soil. From the outside, it looked like nothing was happening, but beneath the surface, everything was changing. Now you see it. You have clarity where confusion once lived. You have peace where fear once ruled. You have maturity where impulse once controlled you. This did not come from books. This did not come from people. This came from being taught by God Himself. Heaven trained you privately so you could carry your calling publicly. Chosen one. When God prepares a person for purpose, He does not begin with circumstances. He begins with character. He does not start by changing your environment. He starts by changing your responses. He does not elevate the external first. He fortifies the internal, because destiny cannot rest on a foundation that is fragile. Purpose cannot stand on a heart that is unsteady. Calling cannot survive in a mind that is easily influenced. So God began shaping who you were long before He revealed what you would do. He taught you how to hold your tongue when anger rose. He showed you how to forgive even when forgiveness felt impossible. He encouraged you to stay compassionate even after being misunderstood. He strengthened your humility when pride tried to offer relief. These were not small changes, they were spiritual refinements. And while others may have been chasing recognition, you were learning to chase wholeness. While others were building a name, you were building a foundation. While others wanted to be seen, you wanted to be aligned. Your character was being purified, not for people, not for approval, but for heaven's use. Because when God builds character, He is building capacity, the ability to carry the blessing without letting the blessing carry you. He is building wisdom, the ability to move in authority without losing yourself. He is building stability, the ability to lead without collapsing under pressure. Many can receive blessings, few can sustain them. That is why your preparation required depth. That is why your process required patience. That is why your journey required surrender. You were not being delayed. You were being developed. And now, the person you have become is able to receive what the person you were could not yet hold. Chosen one. The evidence of your training is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not demand attention. It appears in the quiet ways you now move through life. The person you are today does not respond the way the old you once did. and that is proof of transformation far deeper than surface change. Your peace is no longer dependent on circumstances. Situations that once would have broken you now pass through you without shaking your foundation. You have learned how to remain still in the middle of storms, not because the storms became easier, but because you became stronger. When confusion arises, you no longer panic. You pause. When conflict appears, you no longer fight to be right. You choose wisdom. When disappointment arrives, you no longer collapse. You reflect and continue forward with clarity. This is the evidence of someone who has been taught by God. Your discernment has sharpened. You sense the intentions behind words. You read the spiritual reality beneath the surface of situations. You recognize when something is sent to distract, delay, or derail you. You no longer move impulsively, you move intentionally. That is spiritual maturity. You have learned to guard your peace like a treasure. You have learned to value your time, your energy, your voice. You no longer let everyone have access to your spirit. Your boundaries are not walls of fear, they are gates of wisdom. People may look at you and say, something is different about you, without being able to explain it. And they are right. Something is different. You have been mentored by heaven. Your posture has shifted. Your presence carries weight. Your spirit speaks even in silence. The transformation is real, and it is visible not in what you say, but in how you carry yourself. This is the fruit of divine training. This is the identity of the chosen one. The journey you lived was never just about you. Every trial, every lesson, every moment of endurance has become a blueprint for someone else. Your life is not just a testimony, it is curriculum. It teaches, it guides, it opens eyes, it awakens spirits. Others are going to learn how to endure their storms by watching how you overcame yours. There are people who will never open a Bible, but they will read your life. They will see what faith looks like in motion. They will see what grace looks like under pressure. They will see what strength looks like when the world expects collapse. You are a living letter of God's teaching, written not in ink, but in experience, breakthrough, and transformation. Your scars tell stories, not of defeat, but of resurrection. Your tears have watered seeds in others who were ready to give up. Your silence in suffering showed others that peace can exist even in the middle of pain. Your resilience challenged those around you to believe that something greater is always possible. There are people who survived because they saw you refuse to quit. There are hearts that healed because you chose to forgive. There are souls that continued because you continued. Your journey has shaped lives you do not even know exist. This is why the battles were heavy. This is why your process took time. This is why your lessons were personal. Heaven was writing something through you that others would one day depend on. You are not just someone who went through something, you are someone who became something. A guide, a light, a reference point of grace. Your life stands as evidence that God still mentors, transforms, restores, and elevates those who choose Him. When people look at you now, they won't just see what you survived, they will see what God can build in a surrendered soul. Your story is a classroom. Your walk is a teaching. Your endurance is a textbook of hope. You are living curriculum. You are heaven's lesson in motion. Chosen one, there is something within you that refused to die, even in your darkest moments. Hope. Not the fragile kind that depends on circumstances, but the kind that grows stronger in the dark. The kind that holds on when there is nothing visible to hold. The kind that whispers, God will make a way, even when every door looks sealed shut. This hope did not come from motivational words, nor from your own strength. It was forged in the fires of your journey. It was shaped in the nights when you cried but refused to quit. It was strengthened in the valleys when you kept walking, even when your heart felt heavy. Your hope is not naive. It is refined, tested, proven, And your faith has become unshakable, not because you always understood what God was doing, but because you trusted him even when you did not. You believed in his goodness when life didn't feel good. You believed in his plan when the path was unclear. You believed his promises when the timeline looked impossible. This is the faith of the chosen. Your hope confused the enemy. Your faith frustrated darkness. Your peace disrupted chaos. Because while others gave up when storms came, you learned how to stand. You learned how to breathe through the pain, how to pray when your voice trembled, how to wait when your heart ached. This is what it means to be mentored by God. You no longer collapse under pressure, you grow through it. You no longer fear the unknown, you trust the one who walks with you. Hope has become your anchor. Faith has become your foundation. People will look at you and wonder how you survived. But survival was never the goal. Transformation was. And now, your resilience carries the sound of heaven. You didn't just hold on, you overcame. Chosen one, everything you have walked through has been leading to this moment. The season of hiddenness is coming to a close. The quiet shaping, the private battles, the unseen victories, these were not the end of your story. They were the preparation for your reveal. For a long time, it felt like your growth was invisible, like your progress was slow, like your prayers were unanswered. But heaven was not ignoring you, it was building you. God never elevates someone he has not first refined. He never releases a voice he has not first purified. He never unveils a calling he has not first anchored in depth. The time of unveiling is not simply about being seen. It is about being seen rightly. You will not step forward as someone trying to prove yourself, but as someone who has already been proven. The challenges you endured were your certification. The patience you learned was your preparation. The character you developed was your qualification. Where you once felt overlooked, you will now be recognized. Where doors were closed, new ones will open, and they will open without striving. Where misunderstandings clouded your path, clarity will now follow you. What felt delayed will now feel divinely timed. This is the shift. You are no longer being prepared. You are being positioned. Do not rush this moment. Do not shrink from it either. You are ready now, ready in a way you were not before. Ready in maturity, in discernment, in authority, in peace. Heaven does not unveil prematurely, which means your unveiling is right on time. Step forward, not loudly, but confidently. You are entering the season where the world finally sees what God has been forming all along. Chosen one, lift your head. You have walked through the fire and did not burn. You stood in storms that were designed to break you. Yet here you are still standing, still believing, still becoming. This is the moment where you acknowledge who you are, not who the world told you to be, not who pain tried to shape you into, but who God has formed in you through every hidden season. You are not the same person who began this journey. Your heart is wiser, your spirit is stronger, your vision is clearer. You have been trained. You have been refined. You have been chosen. And now heaven affirms your identity. You are one who walks with God. You are one who hears his voice even in silence. You are one who stands when others fall. You are one who carries peace into chaos. You are one who has been prepared, shaped, and appointed. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the unveiling. Walk forward now, not seeking approval, not chasing validation, not fearing misunderstanding. Walk forward because you know who your mentor is. You know who shaped you. You know who called you. The same God who trained you will now reveal you. So, take a deep breath, put your shoulders back, and step into what is yours. You are ready. This is your activation. This is your identity. This is your rise. Amen. If this message confirmed your journey, if it awakened something in you, If it reminded you of who you truly are, then stand with this movement of awakening. Share this message with one person who needs to remember their identity. Let it reach the one who is tired, the one who is ready to give up, the one who is searching for God's voice in silence. And if you feel led to go deeper, return and comment. I am ready. This will be your public declaration of alignment, your spiritual signature of agreement. We are not here to build followers. We are here to build the chosen. The remnant is rising, and you are part of it.